Whatever happened to the limousine? For decades, it was the symbol of wealth, power, and untouchable status. Politicians, celebrities, even mob bosses rolled through cities in stretched black cars that screamed untouchable. But somewhere in the last 15 years, the limo just vanished. They'll tell you it's because SUVs and luxury sprinters are more practical. But is that really the whole story? Or was the limo phased out on purpose? Think about it. A limousine is impossible to hide. Long, flashy, instantly recognizable. SUVs, on the other hand, they blend right in. Same tinted windows, same convoy look, but no one pays attention. Could it be that the powerful traded limos for SUVs not out of preference, but out of necessity? Security agencies, shadow elites, even Hollywood insiders realizing the limo made them too easy a target. The limo represented transparency. If you saw one, you knew someone important was inside. SUVs represent secrecy. You see them everywhere, but you'll never know who they're really protecting. Did limousines disappear because culture moved on? Or because power decided it was safer to stay hidden in plain sight? You be the judge. If you're awake, you already know what to do. Hit the link in our bio and join our free underground newsletter.
By 2030, the connections will start to be made between artificial intelligence and the human brain. We've been through a process of preparation, of getting people, first of all, stage one, addicted to technology that they hold. And they're targeting specifically the young, because the young of today are going to be the adults when they want to bring this AI connection in full blown. For that to happen, they have to get people addicted to technology to the point where they'll accept it and where it's the most natural thing in the world. So the next stage, because the idea is to get in the body, the next stage is to get on the body. Holdables, we went to wearables, we went to Bluetooth, Google Glass and Apple Watches. And the next stage is to go in the body, which is already starting in places like Sweden. People in Sweden now are having parties to celebrate someone being microchipped. Sales pitch is, when we connect to artificial intelligence, we'll be superhuman intelligent. No, you'll become subhuman intelligent. You'll become a vehicle for artificial intelligence, a psychological process, which is known as preemptive programming. You're going to usher in a world that is so different, so dramatically different, resistant, that says, hold on a minute, you want to do what? So you prepare them for it through preemptive programming. You put out a stream of movies out of elite-controlled Hollywood. You put out television programs, you put out books, you put out all these things that basically portray the world you want to take people into. So when you literally start to bring it in, there is almost a familiarity with it because you prepared people by portraying it over and over again. This is a whole psychological process, familiarizing us with artificial intelligence, getting people to interact with it until it becomes the most natural thing in the world. By 2030, the connections will start to be made. Human brain will be connected to what he calls the cloud. Artificial intelligence will be more and more of human thinking until basically it's the totality of human thinking, at which point we won't be human anymore in terms of the consciousness processes we are using today. We will be artificial intelligence.
They told you once that being transgender was a mental disorder. Then quietly they changed their minds. Now they say it's normal. But what changed? The biology didn't change. The science didn't change. Only the language did. And that should make you ask why. In the DSM-4, the official manual of psychiatry, it was called gender identity disorder. In the DSM-5, they replaced it with gender dysphoria. Suddenly, the identity was no longer the problem. Only the distress was. The World Health Organization went even further, moving it out of mental disorders altogether. But here's the weakness. If a condition requires a lifetime of hormones, surgeries, and interventions to function, how can you honestly call it normal? You can't. They've sugar-coated the words, but not the reality. This change wasn't driven by new breakthroughs. It was driven by politics, by pressure, by fear of stigma. And in doing so, the medical establishment crossed a line. They told us they were following science, but the evidence wasn't settled. Europe proved it. Sweden, Finland, Norway, and the UK have pulled back, restricting treatments for minors, calling them experimental, even shutting down entire clinics. These are not far-right governments. These are some of the most progressive nations in the world. If Europe is backing off, why is America pushing harder? What does that tell you? And then there's the money. Puberty blockers can cost $30,000 a year. Cross-sex hormones are lifelong prescriptions. Surgeries cost tens of thousands, with more follow-up care. Once a child is placed on this path, they are a medical patient for life. Does that sound like compassion, or does it sound like a business model? The medical industrial complex has created a permanent customer base, and history has taught us, when profit drives medicine, truth is the first casualty. So ask yourself, are we being told the truth, or are we being told the politically convenient version of the truth? They changed the language, but they didn't change reality. And now it's not just the credibility of the medical establishment at stake, it's the health of people. If treatments create lifelong dependence, if the evidence is weak, and if regret and suffering follow, that isn't compassion, it's betrayal. And when we see a troubling rise in violence connected to this small population, we must ask, are minds being healed, or are they being harmed? My friends, we are all anonymous, and we will not betray compassion with lies.